Okay, I'm gonna be very brave. I'm gonna make a TikTok that I've been threatening to make for a long time. I am going to explain to everybody, the younger generation, why in 2016 Taylor Swift's cancellation was coming. That this was karmic retribution that was years in the making. And I've done my research, I've pulled some receipts, and I've got the timeline to prove it. I've got the timeline to prove it. I think that this is going to be 2 parts long. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, it all starts with September 2009, okay, when Kanye interrupted Taylor at the VMAs, right? The whole "I'm gonna let you finish" thing, right? Like, in this moment, like, Kanye, like, literally, Barack Obama called Kanye West a jackass. Like, Taylor Swift became, like, a victim, America's sweetheart overnight. Like, Kanye West was universally condemned for this moment, and it was a total disaster. But it did actually make her way more publicly visible. I will tell you that me, myself, and I didn't know about Taylor Swift or didn't know about Fearless or Debut until this happened. That's when I became like more aware of her music. So I think that that's important to say, okay? It's not shade, it's just the truth. It's not shade, it's just the truth. To like set the stage for what was going on in pop culture at the time. So 1989 drops in like 2014, I believe it was like in October or something like that. And 1989 was a smash. At this time in culture, we still had like the internet was rising, but we still had the monoculture. And 1989 was ubiquitous. It was everywhere, and Taylor Swift was everywhere. You know what I mean? She was at the height of her powers. She was like super important in pop culture. And the other thing that is important to note about this time is that her label was actually against her pivoting towards pop, right? But she is the one who demanded that she pivot towards pop, and it turned into a smash hit, right? And I picked this Rolling Stone cover to like pick because I still remember reading this interview. The thing that struck me the most about this interview was like the way it ended. She was talking about the way that people like come and hound her at like Central Park or something. You could really feel in the interview how aware she was of her power and how much she got off on it. So there was like this sense of her being like power hungry and like obsessed with control that was very real at the time. And I feel like you can't talk about the downfall of Taylor Swift without talking about Katy Perry. So I know Katy Perry's having a down moment right now, but Katy Perry was a pop juggernaut at that time, okay? Like Teenage Dream was one of the biggest albums. It was like a generational smash, you know? There was hit after hit after hit off the album. She was everywhere, you know? And honestly, I think that Taylor Swift, like, kind of was envious of her career. Initially, they were like friendly, or at least like they seemed to be friends. But then Katy Perry started dating John Mayer, okay? And as many people know, Taylor Swift was rumored to date John Mayer in like 2012 and supposedly wrote Dear John about him, although that is like factually disputed or whatever. But like, there was a real sense that the Katy Perry feud, because at some point, one point or another, somewhere in 2013, 2014, their relationship broke down and it became like all out war, okay? And Taylor Swift started like behind the scenes. The rumors are that she went behind the scenes and was like campaigning against Katy, basically getting her disinvited to parties, basically saying, if you have her in the studio, I won't work here anymore. If you work with this producer, I won't work with them anymore. That kind of thing, like weaponizing her power like against her in a big way. The rumor was that it was about like what the company line was that, oh, Katy Perry stole her dancers or something like that, which is like kind of ridiculous, and nobody believed it. Like honestly, nobody believed it. People really felt that it was about this. It was about the fact that Katy was dating John Mayer and that Taylor was jealous. Okay. And like that really kind of painted more of a picture of Taylor as like a vindictive, jealous, like malicious woman. Okay. So this is just like, you have to understand the narrative is building in people's minds, right? And the whole thing about her going behind Katy, like, you know, undermining Katy, that was a rumor that was well known at the time. Okay. That wasn't a secret. People knew that. So the next thing that happened is that Taylor Swift started with this whole like squad goals like narrative thing, right? She rolls out with the 1989 music video, and she has like the most random people in the video, to be honest. She has like Marissa Hagee from SVU. She has Ellen Pompeo from like Grey's Anatomy. She has Zendaya. She has Gigi Hadid. She has like the Haim sisters, I believe. And Selena Gomez was her like opposition, who notably is brunette. So it's kind of like, it was almost like her assembling her Avengers in order to like destroy Katy Perry. You know what I mean? And here is a still from the actual music video. Like literally, like this was the imagery here. You know what I mean? So it's like, you really couldn't say that there wasn't like malicious intent here. Like, you know what I mean? It really, like, people, like, Bad But Blood was a smash hit, but it really, once again, furthered the narrative that she was, like, vindictive and petty and jealous and malicious, okay? So people, even though people love the song, they had that narrative about her in her head, and you got to keep that in mind. The other thing that she was doing, or like overdoing with this whole like squad goals thing, is that during the 1989 tour, which went on for like a year and a half or something like that, every single night she would parade out like the most random guesses. This is the night where she paraded out Gigi Hadid, Karlie Kloss, and actually Lena Dunham. And Lena Dunham actually said that this performance like made her feel like really bad about herself, because she was like next to all these like really skinny, tall, like blonde women. And it really felt like Taylor Swift was like living out her like popular girl fantasy, because like Taylor Swift was always like, she was like never necessarily like popular in school. She was always like nerdy and kind of like into music. And it felt like this was like her moment to like live out that fantasy. And she was like doing it to the most of her ability. It was like a bit insane, and it was a bit much. Again, this like initially the whole 1989 tour guest thing was like kind of fun to see, but after a while it got increasingly more random and it became like way too much, okay? The other thing that she was doing that was annoying the fuck out of people, to be honest, was these 4th of July parties she was having. Once again, she was like pushing the squad, right? So here you see like Blake Lively, Udo, Uba, and then you see Carla Delevingne, and like all these like random people. And it was like she was doing it at like her house in Rhode Island, that house that belongs to like Marissa, used to belong to Rebecca Harkness, as we found, of Folklore fame, you know? So yeah, that was also like really grating. It just felt like very like try hard, like trying to be popular girl, you know what I mean? So like, again, this narrative keeps building and building and building, and this is accumulating over the course of the 1989 time, you know, over the course of like 2 years. And this is when Taylor Swift really got into some shit and started actually really pissing people off. And most importantly, at the time, like Black Twitter, like ran culture, like started pissing off Black Twitter. Okay. So what happened at the VMAs in summer of 2015 was that Nicki Minaj, like I think she got snubbed for Video of the Year for Anaconda. And she said something along the lines of, okay, I didn't pull the exact tweet, but basically Nicki's like tweeting about how like Anaconda didn't get nominated, and she said something along the lines of, if Anaconda might have been celebrated if it had like skinny white bodies, like skinny pretty white bodies or something like that. And Taylor Swift takes like personal offense to that. She's like, I've done nothing but love and support you, Nicki. It's unlike you to pit women against each other. Maybe one of the men took your slot. It was so annoying, girl. It was annoying. And Nicki's like, I'm not talking about you, girl. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not talking about you. And it turns into like a back and forth. And eventually Taylor Swift apologizes. But guess who puts her mouth in this whole thing? Okay, guess who puts her mouth in this whole thing? None other than Miss Katy Perry. She literally says, finding it ironic to parade pitting women against each other argument about as one unmeasurably capitalizes on the takedown of a woman. Yo, okay? Yo, that tweet, July 22nd, 2025, or 2015, girl. And this is already after Katy Perry also had tweeted like a few months earlier that beware of Regina George's sheep's clothing, and then later confirmed that that was about Taylor Swift, okay? So once again, now she's got the Barbs pissed off, okay? And the Barbs have always been an entity. And at the time, I was a Barb too. I was mad, okay? So the last chapter before the cancellation was Sealed Her Fate is coming next, okay? So it's the Grammys. So on February 11th, Kanye premieres a song, Famous, where he says, I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex. Why? I made that bitch famous, right? You know, everybody knows the song, whatever. Or maybe people don't. But anyway, that's what the song said, okay? And on February 14th, the song drops on Tidal, right? So everybody's heard the song. The lyrics go instantly viral. On February 15th, Taylor Swift wins Album of the Year at the Grammys, and she gives the most insane speech, guys. She's like, don't ever let if anyone tries to take credit for your fame. And this is what she looked like. I'm not even kidding. She looked like angry, hungry, bitter, vindictive. She's like, then you know that you did this. It was crazy, girl. And it landed so poorly, okay? It clearly felt like a shot at Kanye West. and people were really fed up with her. So in part 2, I'm going to talk about the summer that led up to her cancellation and all the different events that led up to it, and how she got on the wrong side of Calvin Harris, wrong side of Rihanna, and had already had Black Twitter pissed off, in addition to everything that she had already done. So please join me again for part 2. We'll be doing that soon. Okay. Don't kill me, Swifties. I'm just telling the facts.